Good morning and welcome to our webinar this morning. We are lucky enough to be joined by Nick Ruddle, who is an action coach, business coach and systemologist. I'll hand you over to Nick shortly, but just a bit of information before we begin. So we can hear and see Nick on the screen. Unfortunately, as attendees, we can't hear or see you, but we absolutely do still want you to engage. It's a very engaging webinar and we're going to need some input from you. So there are a couple of polls that will appear on your screen. You can just click to answer those automatically. And if you've got any questions at all throughout, would like to pop anything in the chat box, you can do that on the drop down box on your right. I'm going to hand over to Nick now and I'll see you at the end.
Brilliant. Thanks, Laura, and welcome everybody. Good to have you on the call. Thanks for giving up your time to be here today. Like Laura said, we're just going to do a quick poll, just so that we know who we've got on the call. We haven't got too many here at the moment, but we are due a lot more, so you get a few people that will join us. But for those of you who are here, what kind of landscape business are you in? So if you just click which box is relevant to you, then it will help possibly to tailor some of the content. A few more seconds on that, I should think. And how's that looking, Laura?
Yep, so 60% landscape maintenance, 20% designers, 20% suppliers, and I've got 60% landscape construction, so mostly landscape.
Okay, very good, very good. Cool. Okay, well, a couple of other questions for you to kick us off, just to understand exactly where you are with systems and what kind of knowledge you have. In the chat box, if you just want to write down the answer to this question, why do you think systems in business are important? So just have a little think. You might have 1, 2 or 3 answers to that question. So if you just type in the chat box there, why you think systems are important. Keep the business organized. Yeah. Save time. Absolutely. What else? Why are they so important to business? Any more? Any more? Laura, any more coming through your end?
Yes, so they've gone into the questions box there, Nick. So to learn from mistakes by following a tried procedure, communication, efficiency, organisation, profitability, and track profitability.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Loads of good answers there.
Yeah, so I don't see those my end, by the way, so I will have to keep asking you. I see stuff in the chat, but I don't see anything anywhere else. Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, a whole bunch of reasons why it's good that people appreciate how important systems are. So if I'm going to ask you the next question then, what stops you from systemizing? Have you got systems in place? If so, if not, then what is actually stopping you from getting that done, getting those done, and finally getting some systems documented into the system? So we just answer that question too, then I'll know where you are on your business journey.
Time,
yeah, it usually is, isn't it? Especially as business owners. As business owners, they tend to be very busy doing lots of things, and traditionally business owners aren't the best people in the world to be doing systems because they're more visionary and just don't get the time or don't really have the inclination to actually want to sit there writing loads of systems. And the good thing for people on the call is that the business owner does not write one system with Systemology, so maybe a sigh of relief there. Anything else, Laura?
The overwhelming answer is time. We do have one attendee saying that they have systems in place and use Workflow Max and Xero.
Okay, good. Yeah, I've got a client who uses that as well. Brilliant, brilliant. So Time is tends to be one of the biggest challenges that all business owners have, isn't it, really? So thank you for your participation. For those of you who don't know who I am, I specialize in coaching companies in the landscape industry. Also one of the judges for the Pro Landscaper Awards every year. Also speak at Futurescape as a speaker and a panelist. I've been an action coach, business coach for 15 years, over 5,000 hours of one-to-one coaching, over 100 seminars and workshops, and now the first certified systemologist in mainland UK. My mission is to free business owners in the landscape industry from the day-to-day operations of their business. So what that means is that take you away from being the key person of dependency within the business, so to free you up so that your business works without you, if that's what you want, or just to not be so reliant on you being part of that equation. So, and just to let you know, I don't know, some of you may have seen the podcast that we've launched recently. Most of the guests we've had on there are actually BALI members. It's a brilliant resource. It's been a real pleasure, and it is a pleasure speaking to all these people with vast experience. And you may know some of these names on here. So we just had Mark Gregory on last week, John Wire, Rob Crowder, Paul Downer, and BALI's very own Wayne Grills. So there's a few other people on there as well, and there's lots and lots of new ones that are in the diary for future dates. So if you haven't done that, if you haven't found those, then you can go anywhere you would normally get your podcasts. I think it's a really, really good resource. A lot of people within those interviews on those episodes mention how important systems are in your business, as well as a whole bunch of other things, obviously. So take a note, make a note if you would like to start learning from people who have been very successful. Then there's so much experience there. Okay, so there's a chap called Michael Gerber who wrote the book called The E-Myth. He wrote that book 40 years ago, and in that book he speaks about business being based on systems. You go and work on your business, you need to put systems in place. But what that book doesn't say is, and this is how you do it. So he is the biggest fan of David Jennings, the author of Systemology, and he says every single business needs to read Systemology because they need to know how to do it. So the E-Myth opened the world's eyes to what you need to do. Systemology shows you how to do it. So if you haven't listened to that book or read that book, you must do that. And also he actually wrote one for landscapers as well. It's called The E-Myth for Landscapers. So all the examples are based on landscapers. So you might want to go to Amazon and pick out that one as well. Anyway, so Systemology, what is it? It's a book. It's a system, a methodology for systemizing business. And it really is the system for systemizing a business. I've been coaching for 15 years. There's been nothing anywhere near as important, as useful as Systemology. It's always been a bit of a grey area in my my coaching toolbox, but it really is the missing piece in my coaching jigsaw, if you like. So and really, in as little as 3 months, you could get all the mission critical systems fully documented within your business. And it's a very simple process, really. So ultimately, obviously, it would improve your efficiency, your profitability, increase the value of your business, because if it's outside of your heads and your employees' heads, and it's actually written down, documented videos, and stored in a nice, easily accessible location, then obviously it's going to increase the value of your business if one day you did want to sell it. If you didn't, then what it will do, it just free you up from being the key person in the business, or from people in your business being the key people with all the information in their heads. So it helps you to not be held to ransom as well. So that's the book. And the offer today is, as you've turned up on this and registered, whether you're here now or listening to recording, then we're going to send you a free book. If you want the audio book, you have to let Laura know, and she'll send you either the link to that you can download onto your system, excuse the pun, and or we'll send you a hard copy, a real copy of the book as well. So there are some myths, and there's probably myths that, or maybe some things that you think about systemization and how to go about it. But we're going to bust those myths now, because you don't need loads and loads of systems. You don't need to be McDonald's. McDonald's have spent 60 years building and refining their systems, but we really don't need to have that sort of level of detail. Also, another myth is that the business owner is the only one that can do the systems. Well, as I said earlier, the business owner doesn't write one system, not one system. It can be time consuming, people might think, but actually by using Systemology, it really isn't. It's quite simple and straightforward. And you don't need to invest in loads of expensive software. The book will tell you exactly what kind of software you do need. And if you have the systems in place, my staff, my team just won't follow them. Well, that's part of Systemology and how to get people engaging in following a systems-based kind of culture. Some people say, yeah, but if I systemize everything, then we lose our creativity. It does the opposite of that, in fact. By getting more time, it gives your creative people more time to be even better. And like I say, you don't need to be like McDonald's. You definitely don't need to be flipping burgers. Well, I'm going to be asking for a volunteer soon, and whoever volunteers will be very grateful that they did. So if you want to be brave, you will get the first stage of Systemology done live on this call, and that will be hugely beneficial. So whoever wants to be that volunteer, it's first come, first served basis, and that will be really useful, and we'll send you the outcome of that afterwards as well on the template. So a really useful thing for you to get. So where are you now? So we've got 4 stages of systemization. Okay, so when I go through these 4 stages, I want you to then think, okay, where would I say that I am? And Laura's going to do a poll off the back of this. Okay, so first stage is survival. Obviously with survival, you've got no systems in place. The results are a bit up and down, pretty poor, very stressful, no systems, everyone's doing things their own way, a bit like fairly chaotic. And that's probably not why you went into business in the first place, I would imagine. And it doesn't make you very happy. And this tends to be where the business owner is the bottleneck. It's stopping the business growing, and it's pretty stressful, not enjoyable. So we don't want to stay there. We want to get at least the next stage is going to stationary. So stationary is you've got systems, but they generally reside in the heads of your people. You're sort of treading water. You're not really making any progress. But you're very key person dependent. So if someone leaves and they take their knowledge with them, you're very vulnerable. So think about important people in your business, as skilled landscapers, your estimator, your accounts person. What would happen if they left and then took all that knowledge with them? So what the stationary stage is all about, it's about extracting best practice from your key people so that you're not left vulnerable and at risk if they were to leave or something happened to them. So we'd go from stationary. The next stage really is about, once we've got the information and we want to scale up the business, and we've extracted all this information from your key people that are doing things really well, we need to store that somewhere. We need to get that organized. So you may have some of this stuff, if you're in Scalable, you may have some systems that are documented. They may be on Dropbox, they may be on Google Drive, they may be on someone's desktop, but they're not in one location that's easily accessible for lots of people. So you don't necessarily have who does what by when and how to do those tasks in any kind of logical order or any place. So, if you can get to that point, that's brilliant, but that's not really where it all ends. Ultimately, we say to get it to be saleable. Look, not everyone wants to sell their business, but if you should build your business as if you were going to sell it, because if that's the case, then you wouldn't, as the business owner, be part of that equation. So the business would effectively run without you having to be there, and that's really what saleable means. But look, no one has a crystal ball. You may think, right, today, actually, no, I never want to leave this business. I love it. It's my passion. But who knows what's down the road? Whether it's illness or in 5 years' time, you think, you know what? Now I've had enough. But if you get to that point and you say, oh, I want to sell it. If everything's still in everyone's heads and you don't have any systems, then what's it really worth to anyone? So the accountants in the world say that your business will be worth between 2 and 5 times more if you get it to the point where everything is systemized in the business. So build it as if you are going to sell it, and then at least you're going to be building a much more valuable, saleable asset. So we've got a little poll coming up. So where would you say you are with your business? You may be in between survival and stationary, or in between stationary and scalable. But if you were to sort of say, based on what I sort of told you there as a criteria, where would you say you are? So I'll give you 20 or 30 seconds, I suppose, to see where you are, and we'll see what the results are. Okay.
Okay, so 40% are stationary and 60% scalable.
Oh, good. So we've got no one in survival. No one's desperately sort of running around like headless chickens with no systems whatsoever. So that's good. Brilliant. Okay, thanks for that. Right, so where do we start? You think, you know, systemize, try and systemize the business, don't have time, but if I did have time, where do we start? And this is where Systemology kicks in. So if you haven't read the book already, I really would advise that you do to really understand how easy it is. I know that some of you on the call have already read or listened to Systemology as well. So this will be a refresher for you, but new for others. So there's 7 stages. The first stage is really defining your customer journey. We call it the CCF. So that is called the critical client flow. So it's taking your customer from inquiry through to the sales process, all the way through to delivering a brilliant project on time, on spec, and on budget. So that's the first stage. Once we've understood what your customer journey is, we can then start to systemize that. But then we can go and assign who's currently doing those jobs, those tasks, to the best standard. That's when we just identify departments, people, and who's doing best practice. Once we've understood that, we then extract that knowledge and information from those people in terms of what they're doing at each stage of that process. And then we start to organize it into step 4. So we get it organized into a nice, easily accessible central location that other people in the business can also access. Number 5, integrate, is really about getting your team on board and understanding how to get those people adopting new habits, following these systems, and making sure that everyone does buy into it. It's about getting buy-in from the company. Now, scale is when you sort of look at, okay, we've done the customer journey, but there's lots of other systems and processes that happen outside of that. So you've got HR systems, so recruitment process, induction process, appraisal process. You've got management systems and things that you do on a regular basis as a management team. And the 7th one, really to make it totally saleable, to optimize your the value of your business, if you did want to sell it, or if you just wanted to systemize everything, is to look at other areas that maybe you're having challenges in that are outside of those systems that we've already mentioned. So there might be some things in the business that are still causing problems. Most issues in a business can be solved by putting systems in place. Pretty much everything. So if you've got an issue with sales, there's something you can do to systemize that and train your staff on that. And same in any other department of the business without going through each one, but you get the drift. Okay, so today we are just going to focus on define the first step, which is defining your critical client flow. So think about it as your customer journey. So we really start at the top. We understand who in an ideal world is your ideal target client, what product or service is relevant for this, so which is the most popular product or service that you offer. Then we work out attention is effectively your lead generation strategies. So on here there's 4, you may have 5, 6, 8, 10, but what ways are you currently using to generate leads for your business? Then obviously once we've got an inquiry, how do we take that inquiry? How do we receive that? How do we reply to it? And then how do we take people through the sales process? How do we then take a deposit? How do we get them on board, ready to prepared to start a project, and then the delivery of the project itself, all the way through to repeat business or getting referrals, testimonials, and case studies at the end. So time for a volunteer. Is anyone brave enough to put their hands up? It's going to be extremely valuable for you if you do. Laura.
Robert Fox. Robert, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There we go.
That's perfect. There we go. That's great. Hi, Robert. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm very well. No, it's a pleasure, and thanks for being brave. It's going to be worth your time. Definitely be worth your, putting yourself out of your comfort zone and for everyone to see and hear. So, okay, Rob. Well, as I've just described, I hope you understood what we're trying to achieve here. If you were to think about your ideal client and your ideal product, what would that be? What business are you in? Are you maintenance? Are you design? What are you in?
Well, I do maintenance and construction.
Okay, cool. So if you were to sort of choose one product or service that you offer, which one do you think we should focus on today? What would be the most beneficial? Maintenance or construction?
Well, maintenance is the easiest one, so I'll go with a harder one, construction.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to go, move my microphone out of the way. We're going to go construction then. And what kind of construction is it? Is it domestic? Is it commercial?
No, it's mainly domestic, really.
Domestic, and is it low end, mid end, or high end?
It's sort of mid end.
Okay, just stick it in there. Okay, just so that we're clear. So in an ideal world then, who would be your ideal client that would suit that product or that service?
Well, someone that I'm not quite, I don't really know what you mean by the ideal client. I mean, an ideal client to me is someone who is happy with what I do and pays well on time, and
Okay. So we put good payer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, nice to deal with.
Yeah, nice to deal with. Yeah, that's important.
We'll just put nice. Okay, are they married? Are they family?
It doesn't matter really. I suppose I've got a client at the moment who I would say probably is my ideal client. So I'm very lucky. So they're married with older children. So they're sort of middle-aged, and they've got probably quite a big disposable income, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay. And value, value what we do.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just so it's easy to get in there. Value your skills and what you do as a business. That's perfect. That's great. So how do you? What marketing strategies do you use?
Mainly word of mouth, but I am on Google Business, and I do have a website. Although my website needs developing, to be fair. But at the moment, because I'm in that sort of wanting to scale, not there yet, so I don't tend to go out and do lots of advertising, because obviously I want to be able to scale up before I can do that.
Okay.
There's a lot of work out there, so before before I do scale up, before I advertise, I want to make sure I can scale up effectively.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't want to be going too mad on the leads if you haven't got the right sort of systems in place and processes in place. Do you work with any garden designers?
I have done, yes.
Yeah. So we'll put that in there as well. What about social media, email campaigns, anything like that? Do you get leads?
Sort of Facebook business and Instagram.
Okay.
But again, I don't use that a lot.
No. Okay, fair enough.
Actually, one of my main clients that I have now did find me through Facebook business. So although I'm only getting a few clicks here and there, it has been, it won me a contract. So, that's good.
That's good. But look, the good thing about this is that there's so many other strategies, lead generation strategies that you could do. You're only doing, less than a handful really. So anyone else that's listening may have even more strategies, or you know, in the future you may select a whole bunch of other ones. But for now, let's stick to these ones, just for the sake of what we're trying to achieve here today. And how do you take that inquiry? Do you get a phone call? Do you get an email? Or do people fill out a web form?
All three.
Yeah. So phone,
Yeah.
phone, email, web form. Okay. And okay, so they would then you would either email them back, or you would phone them back with a script, or with a an outgoing or an incoming script, potentially. Whether you scripted things now or not, who knows? So let's focus on the next stage. So you take the inquiry, you reply to them. What's the next stage? What happens next?
I usually arrange a meeting to go and visit them.
Yeah. Okay. So site visit.
I mean, it depends. Sometimes if it's obvious from what they want that I can't deliver a service, I will politely say, you know, if they say, oh, we want this doing next week, and I'm unable to do it next week, I'll usually send that script saying, oh, we're very happy to do it. This is our lead time, X, Y, Z. Otherwise, and then I will say, but if you'd still like to meet, this is my sort of lead time. And most often than not, they're happy to wait for the lead time, and they will say, well, yeah, let's meet. And
yeah, fair enough. So effectively, you're screening them. You're screening the leads, whether they're in your target market or not.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's say let's assume that we're going to go through the whole process here with your ideal client, and you screen them. They fit your criteria. They qualify for your time to go and visit them. You go and visit them on site. You have your meeting. What happens next? What's the next stage?
Well, the next stage is to get a plan of what they want. Some clients already have their own plan. Sometimes it might be that I suggest a garden designer, so then I will then liaise with a landscape architect. So there's that sort of process to go through. Obviously, if they've got their own design first, or if it is actually a garden designer that's requested the work, then that can speed things up a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Let's assume that you do the plan. They're happy with the plan. What happens next?
Then that's my time where I need to go and cost out the job, and that's when I dive into my Excel sheets.
Ah, good. 1990s, love it. I always say see spreadsheets of 1990s and software as the 21st century.
Right.
But so, look, there's still a place for spreadsheets. There's definitely still a place for spreadsheets.
What would you use
if that works well, then you stick to it. Pardon?
What would you use instead of spreadsheet?
Well, relevant software, but I'll come into that after. So I'll show you some things later. But some people use spreadsheets; they work perfectly well. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if that works well for you and it does what you want it to, then great. If not, potentially there's another option. But let's say, okay, so you do the quote, and what happens next? Accept quote.
Yeah, then you can put them in the diary, and I can see you've got money there. So near to when I'm due to do the job, I will then take a deposit to secure the work.
Okay, so so you don't take the deposit as soon as they accept.
And no, I don't. Maybe I should.
Maybe you should. I would. Okay, but we're not here to discuss all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I definitely think once they're in, they're not in until they've put some skin in the game. Anyway, so you send them the invoice. So deposit, let's say invoice, and let's say they paid. Invoice paid. What happens next?
I guess when the time comes, obviously you diarize it, and when the time comes, you start delivering. But what does onboard? I don't know what onboarding means.
It's basically getting ready for your project. So I presume you schedule the work, you allocate resources, you buy materials.
Yeah, all of that. Yeah.
Okay. All that stuff. Ooh, materials. Okay, and then let's say you've scheduled it all in, you've done all those bits, you've got a deposit, you're ready to rock and roll, and then deliver the project. I suppose start project. Yeah. And look, with this stage here, obviously there's a whole bunch of steps and phases that you go through in the delivery of a project, which you can really start to flesh out. But if we're just trying to take people through the process, then we're not going to go into major detail of every single stage of that. But part of the process of systemizing is we will define that, how many different phases there are of that particular step in the whole process, the overall process. So anything else? So you start the project, you finish the project. What happens at the end of the project?
I don't know. We clear well, that's the project done. I mean, obviously there's some after sales support, but generally I don't have a lot of that to deal with, luckily. Okay.
Do you at this stage ask for referrals or get testimonials, reviews, Google reviews?
Yes, yeah. Google.
Yeah. Okay. Referrals, I suppose, reviews.
Because my customers are usually quite, I'm very lucky. A lot of my customers are quite nice. They sort of refer me without having to ask them.
Brilliant. So that's a really good sign. So you haven't got a proactive referral system or strategy that you offer them or anything?
No, I haven't. But
no.
yeah, I should.
Yeah, I think all businesses should have a referral strategy and a strategic alliance strategy. So strategic alliances being maybe, how do you go and get more garden designers, and start working with more of those, for example, we won't go there now. So referrals, reviews, testimonials, and maybe, you get some repeat business. Maybe you've done the back garden, you might do the front garden, who knows?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's certainly the case. Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. Look, this is just to give you an idea of what process that we would go through and what process you need to go through in order to start the process of mapping out and systemizing your whole customer journey from start to finish. Now, I've got an example here of one of our clients who's done this process, just to give you an idea. Their target market, they actually go for garden designers, real top end. They sort of do BALI Awards, won't say who it is. And they do top end domestic. So the strategies they use are these ones here. They use AdWords, organic traffic, SEO, CRM, outbound call scripts. All these things here can be systemized. Okay, so when we take the inquiry, whether it's a phone call, an email, or web form, it's either an inbound or outbound call with scripts or email templates, and there's a CRM system, a customer relationship management system involved. Okay, then in this case, all that information is received about the project. That's added to the CRM system. You send a confirmation email. That's obviously an email template within the CRM system, and obviously as part of that, probably have a site visit. Now, you do the quote. So this particular stage, there's a few different software sort of steps or things that you use. Quoting software, a nicely formatted proposal template, an email template, a contract email for signature, and then obviously when you send a deposit, send an invoice, that's either on Xero, Sage, or QuickBooks. So you've got accounting software. When you start to prepare, get the work program sorted, allocate resources, obviously this is where your project management software kicks in. And then the garden build itself, again, project management software. There's lots of those out there, won't go into those now. And when you get that sort of stage payments or final payments, that's obviously part of your account software. And at the end, we can automate some of this stuff here. We can create an email template, a call script if it is just a phone call to say hi. Would you like to, would you be prepared to give us a 5-star Google review? And always ask for a 5-star. Don't just ask for a review because someone might give you 3 or 4 stars. even though you know they're really happy with your job. So ask for a 5-star review, and then that will be part of your CRM system. So you can sort of see how you've got all these steps in the process, and then you've got multiple bits of software that aid you at different steps. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Well, thanks, Rob. Appreciate you being our guinea pig. A virtual round of applause to you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. I mean, you can mute yourself now. So I'll just go back to where we were. Excellent. So let's go to next stage if it actually starts. Yeah. So there's a copy of that. If you want me to send you a copy of this as well, for any of you listening, then you can get a copy of this. I'll send it through to Laura to give you an idea of what maybe you need to or could model your process on, if this would be relevant to what you need. So with all these things, it's about finding where the pain is, because unless you know where the pain is, you don't know how to fix it. If things are not perfect at the moment and you're not getting the results that you want, then there could be an actual cost to this, and maybe there's cost that you don't even realize and you just accept, because that's, you know, you think, oh well, business is always tough, isn't it? It's always hard to recruit people, it's always hard to get people paying the right money. But these things are created out in our heads and not always the reality of the situation when we can do something about it. But there may be things that, you know, you could be missing opportunities because you're stuck in your business and you're putting out fires, or you're not able to get things done in the way that you want to get them done. So you may be missing out on opportunities. You could possibly be missing out on quality time with your family, with your kids, with your wife or husband, or other members of your family. Sometimes it can sort of wear you down a little bit, because you're constantly putting out fires, and things are not happening consistently in the way that you would ideally want them to happen. People are not always doing what you ask them to do, so it can take its toll on you. Do you get a chance to go on holidays? If you do go on holidays, are you still able to check the emails? Are you taking phone calls from people? If so, these are all symptoms of things not being fully systemized, because if you have to get involved, then obviously there's something wrong. So it could be affecting your freedom. It could be losing your money, and most probably is losing your money. If you have to go back on jobs and do lots of snagging, or things are not done properly, consistently well, and your team are making mistakes, or whether on site or in the office, then obviously that's an area that could be, we can plug those leaks in the bucket. And as a result of all this, I suppose maybe you could sort of lose your mojo a bit, really. The passion and the energy and the drive that you had going into your business, and maybe the early parts of your business, maybe these things can take a toll on you. Potentially you could have damaged relationships either with your other half, or potentially with your children as well. If not spending time with them, and when you are with them, are you fully present with them, or are you thinking about what's happening on Monday and what job you've got to try and sort out? But ultimately we don't want to make it lead to a failed business. But these are some true costs, and with systems, gives you consistency, and it gives you predictability. So if you want to write down the acronym for system, if you want to grab a pen and paper, system really should stand for save yourself stress, time, energy, and money. Because if you've got systems in place in all different areas and the business is not dependent on you, having systems in place should be able to tick each one of those boxes. So systems run your business. So it's 80% systemization, 20% humanization. So we need to have systems in place, because systems are done, or processes, tasks are done either daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and these repetitive tasks can all be systemized properly. Now, you'll learn about how to do that in the Systemology book. I've given you the framework and where to start, and we'll send you a copy of the book, and also we'll send you a blank template, as well as the example I've got on the screen now of a landscape construction company, CCF, customer journey. Just to give you an idea, if any of you read the book, or have read the book, or listened to the book, and you think, wow, this is exactly what I've been looking for, then there's lots of other options off the back of that book. The book itself will give you some great information, and you can probably I would say definitely get started with that. But in addition to that, there is the membership, which is basically you get the whole system of how to systemize your business, every single stage of that. It takes you through that, literally hold your hand through that whole process. It's so thorough. For just under $1,800 a year. That's in dollars because you buy it through the Systemology.com website. Or if you want to do that, but you want a bit of a chaperone, if you like, someone to guide you through that, then bi-weekly coaching calls, 500 quid a month plus of that. Or if you just want us to do the whole thing for you, and you could get that done in 3 months, but I think really realistically, knowing landscapers and how busy you are, and obviously we've got summer, usually fairly busy or pretty busy all year round. I think 6 months is more of a less pressured, realistic time frame, to be honest. But it can be done. It can be done in 3 months. If you have someone in the business now who likes systems and is good at documenting, then they can be what we call the systems champion, and they can take that and own that, learn everything themselves, or we take them through that and do it for them. But you need someone in your business that can take ownership of managing and facilitating that project. So if any of you would like to have a 10 or 15, 20-minute chat just to ask me a few questions and really sort of find out if you'd like to get started with any of this, then all you got to do, email me, send a link, I'll send you a link, and then you can just book yourself in. It's not a sales call. It's literally, if you want to chat, ask me any questions. If we both then see benefit in working together, we'll schedule a more detailed call, and then we can get started. But I just hope that you do get the book, you read the book, or you listen to the book, and you take action. So if you want to get in touch with me, there's my email address, and it'd be lovely to hear from you. Thanks for your time. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I hope you've found it useful. Hopefully you got lots of notes, and more importantly, I hope you take some kind of action, either reading or listening to the book. So that's about me done, I think. So we can have a few questions if there's any burning questions that anyone's got. But Laura, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Nick. That was fantastic. And I'll just say to everybody, if you're watching live, I will be sending out an email to everybody that's registered so that you can reply to me directly and let me know whether you would like a hard copy or the e-version of the book, and of course the template too. If you're watching this on demand, you can contact me directly on laura.doyle@bali.org.uk, and I'll pass on the info to Nick to get the book out for you if you'd like that.
Marvelous. Well, do you have any questions, or is that good enough for everyone?
No questions. Just everybody saying thank you.
Brilliant. That's good. Well, thanks for your time, everyone. Been a pleasure. Hopefully you've found it useful, and look forward to hearing from you off the back of this. Thanks for the opportunity to speak to you all.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks a lot. Cheers. Bye bye.